the reward for consistency is improvement. Over time, you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad I started. It's the testimony of every creator. I'm just glad I started posting videos.
Give some advice to an individual that is new to the YouTube space.
These platforms want you to succeed. Shadow ban this, shadow ban that. No, platforms want you to grow if you just play their game.
What is your next goal?
A lot of times the goal is reaching, right? Reaching is the goal.
Welcome back, everyone. This is an episode of the Wealthy Creator Podcast. I'm humbled today to sit down with a good friend of mine, someone that I consider not only a mentor, but a brother, someone I feel really close connection with, and relative to like how we are with our individuals that can put us into opportunities and create spaces for us to feel comfortable and thrive in. I got him on the table today with me. It's a pleasure. I introduce to you all Omar Eltakori.
Dude, I'm honored to be on. So cool to see all you're doing, all that is happening, and what we have. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, bro. Yes, I mean, let's just get started a little bit. I want to, we're going to go back a little bit, but we're also going to talk today's scene and how everything is kind of evolving in our space. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in the content creation space.
Yeah, I have been doing video for over 15 years. I guess you could say I got started in high school. This is 2007 maybe. And I took a elective broadcast journalism. It was like, I just wanted to make the videos that people saw on the television,
Yeah.
And so that's when I first exposed to creating videos and like what even that was, and editing. At the time, you actually had to capture the video into Premiere at the same time. Like, so if it was a minute video, you had to capture it for a minute, and then you can edit it, and then you'd have to render it.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with the process. I look back now, and I'm grateful I never deviated from it, because as I grew, I just realized I just never put down the camera. And so just making music videos for friends, then, starting to do, help in church and make videos at church, and then started doing weddings. And then one thing led to another. And now I have the privilege to be able to teach video. And it's just, I could have never called it. I could have never called that the world would see video as almost a requirement, as a way of life, a way of business. That's how we stay connected via video.
Yeah.
And I always put it as it's almost like a form of language. They don't teach cursive anymore, but now it's like skill is a form of communication. It's a language.
Absolutely.
And I think people can learn this, and it's going to help you get further in life, because it creates opportunity, But I have the privilege to be able to teach it, and on a platform or a YouTube channel called Think Media. We have a little over 2.5 million subs at the time of shooting this. It's very practical. If you ever need help in the form of technical, what camera to buy, how to set it up, how to edit, whatever, like, we're on there. And then I spend during the week, I like to use that time to encourage entrepreneurs, get their setup really dialed. I do think it's important to look good on video. And so, yeah, man, I got a lot of things going on. I'm also a pastor, but we don't have to go there if we don't want to go there.
No, we're going to touch it all. I mean, you brought up a bunch of stuff. And so, like, we'll get into the Think Media. We'll get into a lot of that stuff. But I want to really draw back to what inspired you in the first place to just pick up that camera. Like, what really clicked? Was there someone else in the industry? Was there a video that you saw was like, no, I want to do that exact thing? Like, what started it? Like, truly started it for you?
Yeah, when I look back and I think about like some of the things that I remember still, when I started creating videos for myself in my own personal YouTube channel, I was inspired by guys like Casey Neistat, up and coming. It was Peter McKinnon at the time. And this was like, this was me now getting in front of the camera, because in so many instances where I was recording somebody, whether it was like when I worked at a church and I was recording the pastor or recording a testimony video, I just felt like a whisper. It was almost like a whisper. It's like, one of these days you're going to be in front. So that was almost like a seed. I never told anybody. I feel like I'm going to be on stages one day. I never told anybody. I feel like I'm supposed to be the guy in the front of the camera. Now that, I'm always behind the scenes, but, just little by little, I was putting myself out there. If I knew how to do something in the form of video or photography, I would just post it on my YouTube channel. And it was crazy because like I made a video around how to apply a preset to an image via Adobe Lightroom. And in that first month, it started paying for our mortgage.
Wow.
And this was like, I was really exposed to the power and how quick it could actually happen if you just have things in place. So, and it really illuminated this idea, which is still prevalent today, is that if you have something to sell, then it makes total sense to start making videos because it's an easy connection. But just making videos, like, dude, I look back, there's a ring light in my eyes and it's there the whole time. And there were so many comments like, dude, the ring light's so like annoying to watch you, but those are the things that get you, little by little. All right, I'll never make that mistake again, and there are moments where I at this point, I do appreciate a break, because I would say since 2019 for Think Media, I was making on average about 2 to 3 videos a week. And we don't make, whatever videos on there. We actually really think it through. We work with brands. There's so much that goes into it. And I found a good steady rhythm. But, for the first time I realized, like, dude, can I just, for a season, just enjoy not doing that? And maybe I can get some fresh vision. So yeah, it's been about a month and a half. I kind of took a break from making YouTube videos, and it's weird because it feels like I'm losing.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you're like, wow, that video just popped off. Like, so there's something powerful in even that nature that, the work goes beyond the actual action itself of making. So that is one reason why I get encouraged to make a video, because it's like, me making this video, it doesn't end with me just making the video. There's going to be a lifespan to this video potentially, and people are going to watch it at different times of the day. And that's just such a powerful concept. The concept in and of itself gets me from being complacent, I guess you could say. And so that's probably what gets me keeping.
Yeah, you said a lot. I can totally relate to what you mean by, having so much experience behind the camera, and then finally kind of being like, okay, I know that the opportunity is going to come, and I'm being called in that direction. I just, I'm not rushing it. I'm going to prepare myself for it. I'm going to try to do all the things I need to, so that when I do step in front of that light, it's it's effective,
right?
And it's efficient. And so it's like, I see where you're at now from when we first met. Yeah. And I could remember a conversation, before I get into like even how we met, there was a conversation that we had, and it was, I think it was your first Sunday not serving on the video team. And I didn't know till I got there, because it had always been us for like maybe a year going straight. And you was like, nah, bro, I got bigger dreams. And I was like, what's he talking about? What do you mean? Get the camera, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And it was funny because I saw, like, later, I was like, yeah, he was right. Like, he's trying to do more with his voice than he is just with his skill. But your voice just maximizes what the skills that you have and really pushes it to help people. So I kudos to you for like really stepping out in your calling too, and being obedient really to what God has for you. But let me take it back a little bit and just talk about the first time I think we like actually met and had a conversation. Do you remember at all?
I don't know if it would be through Marcus or I don't know.
So it was funny. I when I moved to Vegas in 2018. Like it was like August of 2018. And with some church hurt, I was like refusing to go to church. I was like, football Sundays now, I'm cool on it. I don't want anything to do with it. Still a believer, still faithful, still my own journey. But I was like, I don't want to get back involved in any of it, right? Like I was kind of stirred away from it from experience. And it was my wife Ashley was like, no, you're going. Right, it was just her being
Shout
like,
out to the wives.
Yeah, they're smarter than us and everything in every way. So she was like, no, you're going. You need to go. So we visited a few churches, and then a friend of mine, he was actually the only individual that I knew in Vegas when we moved here. He was like, well, come see the church we're at. You'll like it. It's cool. It's laid back. And so, that Sunday, I put on my polo. I put on some slacks, and then I go to his house so that we could follow him to where the church was, and he walks out in his basketball shorts and a hoodie. And I was like, where are we going that he's dressed in a basketball shorts and a hoodie? And when I got there, I was like, I'm overdressed. Look at this is everybody my age group, super relaxed place. I mean, I remember that day I talked to Pastor Jabin, who's the pastor at City Light Las Vegas. I talked to him. He was dressed down too. Had no idea he was the pastor until I went into the service and he went up on stage. Had no idea. Yeah. Right? And so it was like, no, I could get with this. There's no it was totally different from my previous experiences.
Sure.
Like nobody's trying to be in front, nobody's trying to show off, nobody like you got a bunch of people in $500 suits with no money in their pocket, right? Like it was a super comfortable experience. And so I think it was the second time I went that me and you had our first conversation. And the first thing you said, you came up to me, I forgot what shoe I had on, but you was like, bro, you got every J, bro, what's that? Like, where you get? And so we started talking sneakers. And you had some on too that we start talking about experiences. And then somehow, like camp photography came up. And I think what happened was somebody came up to you with a question. You answered, and I was watching how you answered. I had no idea. I never saw Think Media. I never saw any of that. I was the follower of like YC and Creative Ryan, all those guys that were in the music video space because that's what we were doing back home in Chicago. And so listening to you explain very quickly on how to solve the issue, whatever that issue was, I was like, oh, he knows quite a bit of what he's talking about. And then in comes Sean Cannell. Still no idea. I had no idea who Sean was.
That's funny.
And again, the wife, Ashley's like, that's Sean from Benji. Oh, wow. And I was like, no clue what you're talking about. Yeah. No idea what you mean. She was a follower of Benji and his wife on their vlogs, right? And so I never really did any of that. So I was like, okay, I guess that's somebody. I don't know. But the presence from that point on was kind of felt. I knew that I was in the right room. And I was like, okay, if she knows him from a video and I'm trying to, go full time in this space somehow and make a way, at the time it was just a side hustle, but trying to make a living through it and wanting to go full time, I knew I was in the right room with the right people to do it. Yeah. And so our conversations kept, we kept talking, and then I remember you saying, this was during probably right around the time that the city shut down because of the virus, and you going, bro, we just need people, bro. Everybody's scared to come out the house. I need people that's not scared. And so, interesting enough, I was like, bro, I'm still working. At the time, I was working for an armored trunk company, so the money don't stop moving. We outside, right? Like, I'm like, if I'm gonna catch COVID, I'm just gonna catch it, right? Like, it is what it is. And so, I have a picture that I have framed at the house.
Oh, no way.
Of me in my uniform, my Loomis uniform, with the gun on my hip, outside the desert, filming the video for Easter. And I was like, that moment was kind of a change in me. That was when I was like, okay, I'm going to serve no matter what. Yeah. Like, this is when I'm going to dedicate. It was that shift. And it was your invite, though, that really kind of did that for me. So I say all that to say, you had something on you long before you were ever on the stages and before you were up speaking in front of the church. Like, you always had something that is inviting to people who are in need of it, right? Like, for me, I didn't know it at the time, but it was a need. It was a need of community. It was a need of, opportunity. And so, again, thank you for that. But also, I just want to say, like, that doesn't change. I haven't, like, you're consistent over time, right? Like, even the people I work with today are, up under we're all fruits from your tree and what you've been able to kind of offer. So flowers while I can, right?
I appreciate that. That means the world, and it's really cool to hear it from your point of view. That even that moment, I literally, I'll never forget that filming for Easter. Yeah. It was so. I remember getting to Chick-fil-A because it took longer than it was. I remember our homie D was rolled up in gloves,
trying to beat the sun from going down. Yeah, that was.
But no, man, I appreciate you, and honestly, it's an honor. Like, it's an honor to see and a blessing to see, all that God's doing in you, and that's literally all I feel like I need to do. Is show people the way. If I can help, if I can be a platform, if I could raise somebody up. It's rewarding in and of itself. It doesn't need to always equate to a monetary or a direct ROI, because there's an EROI, eternal Absolutely. ROI, that I think is more important. And yeah, man, I appreciate you.
Yeah, 100%. So we mentioned Think Media. Tell me how you got started with that.
Yeah, so Think Media YouTube channel, I would say probably one of the top channels when it comes to education on YouTube about online video, YouTube itself, and also the gear. And that's probably our edge. Our edge is a lot of people have the information and the strategies, type of YouTube channels, but we tap into how to use your smartphone and how to use your camera, how to upgrade or what's the best next camera for beginners and things like that. But that originally started with Sean, who just for a season started dabbling in the YouTube space. Like he would make review videos around coffee makers, and he made a Valentine's Day gift ideas, Father's Day, Mother's Day. He just started doing that. He realized like, oh, there's something here, in regards to affiliate marketing, making videos around products. And the beautiful thing around products is products have their own influence. And so when especially people starting out, or what have you, they're probably not searching for you because they don't know you, but they're probably searching around or for a product or a software or something they know that you have answers or a tutorial or something like that. So, it got streamlined, and Sean as a solo creator was doing everything himself. At the time I just quit my full-time job because I just felt like there was something more in me. And we reconnected at the gym, and I was like, dude, I see that you're like doing your thing, Sean, way to go. And he's like, I need help. When people say I need help, and it's like in their eyes.
You can see it in them.
Yeah, but he's like, let's grab coffee, and then over coffee, he told me that he wanted to create this course that would help people learn the things he's learned, and then also he wanted to scale the channel. And so I started helping shoot a couple videos a week here and there, and he got in a flow, and then there was a moment where we got an invite from Sony. Sony wanted to invite creators to test a new camera, and he was like, hey, you go. I was like, all right, and I went and I saw all of these creators that I would study or watch because I would watch their edits, or I actually cared about the tech, like even though I wasn't even making videos at this moment. Yeah. But he was like, go and just see whatever you think, and that was I think the end of 2018 or maybe 2019, and I came back and made a first impressions video around that. And that was really a surreal moment for me because I always, using these tools, and here I am now at this, like what they call it, Sony camp, and their developers are like asking us questions. And I'm like, dude, I have like really cool like God stories where I feel like sometimes I wanted to buy a new camera, and I felt God say, sow that money. And I remember literally it was almost like a few months to the day I wanted to upgrade my camera, and I sowed it in an offering. And then here I am just months later influencing the brand. Like that, speaks for itself. And then now at this point, we got camera companies paying us to talk about their game. It's just unreal. Yeah. God's good. But I came back, made a first impressions video, and then it was from there. It was just like, and then made a Premiere, Pro tutorial. It's crazy to think at some of those videos. I don't think this is everyone's journey, and I'm grateful for the favor that I was able to post videos on a platform that was already, there was probably already 500 or 700,000 subs on the channel. Okay. And like Sean so humbly just opened up the platform for me to be able to, create content on. And so, fast forward and 2020 rolls around, and dude, he's like, we got to go 5 a week. I was like, what? He's like, can you guys do 2 videos a week each? And then this is me and another creator, Nolan. And he's like, I'll take on one. He started a podcast, and fast forward to where we are now, more than 3+ years later, I've created more than 300 and something videos. And it's taught me so much about content creation, the process, what goes into it. And so I have a lot to think about when I'm helping other people. And then even my empathy with people who are just creating for the first time, it's not everybody makes that many videos, especially really thought through, thorough. And I just feel like there's something I can offer people to break through some of those barriers that you would get. I look back on that first video, that first impressions video on that camera, the A6400, and like, dude, the color grade was weird. My skin tones was off. I shot it in my kitchen, so it's like so echoey, and whatever, dude.
They say your early ones are your worst ones, right? Like that's just how it goes. I think like that's something that even at the education program here, the Wealthy Creator program, we just tell people like you have to figure out what's comfortable for you so that you can be consistent at it, right? Like you just talked about 300 videos. right? And so it takes that, right? Like I always tell people, like, when you're investing a lot of money to work with us, right?
Yeah,
Like it
right.
just is what it is, right? Like even if it was a $500 sale, that's a lot of money just to hear our thoughts on what might work for you.
Yep.
But we do know, because we've done it enough, we've been around it enough, that the consistency is going to work every time. You just have to be consistent. So like sometimes I play around with people. I'm like, you got to guarantee me, if we're going to do this one-on-one thing, you got to guarantee me 500 videos.
Mm.
And their eyes get big and they're like, whoa. And I'm like, if you can guarantee me that, even if you can get to 200, I know you're going to see some growth, right? And so it's like what you're speaking on is the ability to really dial it in, stay focused, and not be concerned with the results early. Like, we may not get the results early that we're looking for, but as we tweak and we get better video by video, you'll start to see those things happen for you. So
the reward for consistency is improvement.
Yeah.
You can't skip it.
Yeah.
So, I always like to say is, if you want to, grow in a skill or grow as a creator, you just can't skip the idea of just making videos. And the only way to get better, to improve your voice, is to get up on stages or do what you can. The more reps, the more repetitions, the better refined your skill set would be. And what's cool is you're rewarded with feedback the more you input. Like these platforms want you to succeed. I think what's funny is like shadow ban this, shadow ban that. No, platforms want you to grow if you just play their game, I guess you could say. YouTube literally has so much data that they give you when it comes to analytics and stuff. And it's like, that's all free. And then on top of that, if you do what they tell you to do, they literally say, this video was very liked by your audience. Make more of these videos. Like, just do what they tell you to do. A lot of times they'll pay you, and it's really cool. And so, I think consistency is so key for improvement and reaching the goal of whatever that may be. And I would say this, that a lot of times the goal is reaching, right? Reaching is the goal.
Yeah.
That we have this ability to even try or commit to a season. They say that the journey is more important than the destination.
Yeah.
Reaching is the goal, So rather than reaching the goal, just make reaching your goal. Just make going to the gym and not skipping 2 days in a row. That's my goal right now. And I win if I can look back at this week and not have skipped 2 days.
For sure. Clip it, y'all. You hear it? He's clip it. But no, you talk to, I want to go back to the tech thing too, because you mentioned tech. There's a story I could think of, but tell me what's your craziest story doing like a tech review or something in tech?
The craziest, you have something to put
I remember a story of you possibly releasing information on a piece of tech before it was supposed to come out.
Oh, dude, yeah, 100. Well, I would say first, there's been a handful of videos that I've put out, and then immediately a comment saying like, oh, no, it's actually incorrect, and me having to take down a video, fix it, and whatever. That has happened. It sucks, but whatever. It is what it is. It doesn't happen all the time. But yes, I apparently signed an NDA from like.
Read your contracts, everyone.
I apparently signed an NDA, or at least somebody on my behalf did, when it came to a new camera that Sony released, and I had the opportunity and the ability to play with the camera about a month and a half before it came out, before it was released. So they have this date, like, do not talk about this until this day, and then. I have this live stream. I'm doing a live stream talking about best lenses, trying to deliver on a brand deal, And then I'm like, dang, I need a camera as a prop. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's the closest camera. And so I just start the video like this. So what's the best lens for Sony crop cameras? And I put it down, and then I go to sleep, and then my phone blows up.
Goes crazy.
Dude, like the producer at the time, his name was Tony. He's like, dude, have you seen this? Like, Sony just reached back out. And then, dude, I've never felt so Kanye in my life. But blogs, YouTube videos, people saying, hey, this channel, Think Media, and this creator accidentally leaked. And like, I leaked a camera, and it was so bad. But I was like, dude, this is low-key genius. If you guys could see through it and you could see past all that. But I had to write a formal apology. I did mess up the relationship that we had with Sony. So like every time a Sony drops, I'm like, why didn't we know about it? And the team's always like, bro,
you don't remember.
But,
come on, Sony, get over it.
Yeah,
man.
But here's what's funny. I've probably but I've probably sold more Sony ZV-E10s than any other creator on the face of this planet.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, you're welcome, Sony.
Yeah, you got your money back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that story is always a good story to tell, just because, if you start at the beginning, I mean, like, I remember when I pulled up to see, like, with Mark Cannon and everybody looked at me funky, I never brought it back.
Like, right? Get a DSLR.
I was like, everybody had Sony, so I was like, I'm not ever bringing this one back in here, right? But it's so funny that it happened to be Sony, which you're such an avid user of, and
I love
promoter of, and so the what I found most amusing about that is that it wasn't intentional, like it wasn't an intentional act, right?
No.
Like, and so you got some people that would do it intentionally for the buzz, right? Like, you're getting the articles, you're getting the views, you're getting the people talking about it, right? Like you said, like Kanye does some stuff where like, come on, bro, like you intentionally doing it. And so it was just a funny story that I always kind of remember when I think of like tech reviews and camera, because for those that are like today trying to get into that, that's something you got to be, you got to really be focused on and concerned with. Like, a lawsuit coming from a company that has the funding to really go after you
100.
can be very damaging to your brand. So give some advice to, I guess, an individual that is new to the YouTube space or to the creative space that's thinking about doing tech reviews and getting into that kind of niche.
No, I love the idea of reviewing products. It's just one of the video ideas for getting started that I think could be easy. Don't think about concepts yet. Don't think about anything other than what are some products you've actually used and what are your thoughts about it. People are searching before they buy, and that's the beautiful thing about tech or product videos, is usually people have a credit card in their hand, and they're wondering, they're waiting for somebody to really take them over to that next place of like swiping their card and actually making a purchase. That's why people have told me, like, dude, I just feel like I want to buy everything you say. I'm not doing anything other than sharing the benefits, the things that you can do with this light or what have you. But what's cool about making product videos is you do put the weight on the product. Another cool thing, if you're just getting started making videos on YouTube around products or software, just use their feature list. A lot of my scripts are on Amazon. I go on Amazon, go on the product. There's a bullet point of all the things, and I'm like, there's the shot list and the B-roll checklist, and also how I will communicate these features. And it honestly usually isn't until the end of the video where I share my thoughts. Like, what is something I wish this product had? What's something this product's missing? Or, if you put this product with this, click on this video. But I think what's so cool about when you're first starting out, there's the pressure of the information. It doesn't need to come from you if you're reviewing specific products. Yeah. And so it is one of the things. Another cool thing you can do when it comes to product reviews is putting them against other products. So if you put your product into YouTube and you type the word versus after that, put spacebar, it's going to show you the other products that people are putting it up against. If you can make a versus video, this is what we call the versus strategy, and just make somebody make that buying decision, it's going to be super helpful. And I would say it'd be a good way to get yourself in front of people, because you're writing the influence of what people are searching as opposed to what people think that like people are going to find you just because they're going to find you. No, they're going to find you because you made a video around a specific keyword, topic, or product. So I would say just starting out, just whatever you've used. And if you when I think about creators or creatives who used cameras to maybe do weddings and stuff, are there just two lenses you grab every time?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like, how about the only two lenses that wedding photographers need? Based on your experience, maybe somebody would disagree, but you're going to show, look at these photos that I've taken in one day of weddings. And, so you're some of the experience is actually pretty valuable to the conversation around product. And it's crazy. Even these mics, the Shure SM7B, this would be the goated mic when it comes to podcasting. So $400 mic, so overpriced, and you need something to attach with it a lot of times to make it work. You need a recorder of sorts, or you need like a cloud lifter or a preamp. Yeah. So you're like, with the cables, you're like at $500 for a microphone. And so I put this mic up against a baby version of it, the MV7, and made the connection between podcast and live stream. And it made so much sense to people. It caught the algorithm. I think that video has maybe 500,000 views on a microphone review video. I think people sometimes miss out on the power of just making practical videos. And I get it. It's because we live in a sensational world or culture. So sensationalism on YouTube gets rewarded a lot of the times at a high level, but it brings really low lows because everyone's in it for they're trying to outdo their last upload.
Right.
This would be like the Mr. Beast strategy that I don't think people should try, So
there's only one Mr. Beast.
Right. You have sensationalism and then you have just practicality.
Yeah.
And so I just veer toward the practical side of things. I like my life. I'm not trying to, do some crazy thing, just for the sake of the click.
Right.
It's like it really practical on this end. It really comes down to just helping people, giving people some insight on things, because if I've never messed with whatever you've been using and you tell me whatever the flaws in this microphone, then I wouldn't know what to do. So you have something to offer as someone who has product to make reviews on.
Yeah. What do you say to the individual that thinks it's too late to get started with that kind of like your channel kind of has a chokehold on the people that are doing?
Yeah. I think if you feel like it's too late to start making videos on YouTube, I think there is you need to kill the limiting belief that it is too late, and start to believe that YouTube rewards the uniqueness of the creator. There's people that come up all the time. It's actually funny seeing the rise, and not even fall, but like the rise and fade of a creator. And it's because you can only be at the top for so long. I'm starting to see Peter McKinnon stuff like, it's kind of just, in my opinion, it's just kind of like, he's not getting as much views, but he's probably cool too anyway. He's got, brand deals. He's got products that people buy on the regular. Like, he's chilling. But there is room for you because YouTube needs you, and I think there's beauty in that. And we always see new people rise up from nothing. There's this girl who's a CPA, or she's a financial expert. She kind of looks like Kim Kardashian with a British accent.
Okay.
Her name's like Nisha or something like that. Dude, she's getting crazy views. And her videos are so simple, talking head videos. How am I going to become a millionaire before I'm 32? A financial advisor reacts to XYZ going. And she's just taking, I'm like, there's a new face that we've never seen before. Right. She just started putting herself out there. So there is, I would just say that it's the beauty. It's almost like as these platforms are evolving, they're almost just becoming more like humans, in the sense that like you can get two of the same individuals that are really good at something, but they both have something to offer because of their experiences, because of the way they look. The uniqueness of the creator, is what's going to attract maybe your tribe or the people that you have yet to reach, because some people want somebody that looks like them to tell them about this mic, as opposed to, every guy looks like they're from Canada. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a taste, right? Like, it just is what it is. And I encourage people, when I could talk to them, understand that there are billions of people watching content weekly, daily, right? And so what you think this individual who may get 1 million views on every video has a chokehold on your industry, there's still a lot more that aren't seeing it.
Right.
And so you always will have the opportunity, to kind of get involved and get in that space, because there's so many people that's doing it.
Right.
I could ask anyone. There's somebody that's in our industry, in our space, that I just don't tune into. I just can't take it, whether it's his voice or whether it's like, I just can't take it, right? Like, it's totally different. Or even on the technical side, maybe Omar explains things a little bit dumber for me, right? Like rather than the guy from Harvard who's using all these words that I don't really care about. Like, just tell me what the thing does, right? And so that's the biggest difference to me in like how you choose who you watch, and why it's never too late to get into it.
100.
Right? Like, there's just so many people out there that's intaking content that you have the opportunity to capture and grab their attention and retain it.
And honestly, the sooner you start, the better. What did Drake say? Better late than never, but never late is better.
That's right.
But better late than never.
The prophet Drake.
I know. I always find something to connect to Drake. No, but because it's a snowball effect. The sooner you start, the better. And the content snowball is real. I've just experienced it. My videos are generating a lot of money, but now I have 300 plus videos that I've created that are generating, as opposed to 100.
Yeah.
But the sooner you can get to more uploads, and the sooner you really and it's over time. It's over time. it just becomes, it's like fine wine, dude. It's crazy. And it's there's this guy I've been following. His name is Myron Golden, and he talks about the 4 levels of wealth. And he talks about level 1 is implementation. Essentially, all you do is you get paid to do tasks. It's like with your muscle and with your time. That's just very low level. It's going to be really hard to create wealth that way. The second is unification. Unification is management level. You oversee a bunch of people who are implementing. There's still a cap to that because you're still limited by time. The next level, it's a threshold that you break, and that is communication. And he would say the people that fall into communication, these are people who speak on stages, who write books, who make music, who make YouTube videos. Because when you voice things and when you put things out there, it actually transcends time, and it doesn't limit you from the action of doing, because once you do it, now it has a life of its own. So good. This is level 3, and it allows you to a little bit more of a open ceiling in order to create wealth or build something long term. And then the next thing is imagination. This would be people like Elon Musk and like inventors, people that like can make literally nothing happen out of something. But a lot of people can tap into that communication side of things. Even as a side hustle, you can make content on the side or what have you. But that's what's so cool about implementing videos, uploading videos consistently, is over time, you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad I started. It's the testimony of every creator. I'm just glad I started posting videos. Yeah. Like, would we be here right now if Ryan wasn't posting videos? What is that, 3-4 years ago?
3 years, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. So, your start is going to affect other people too. And I think that's what people miss on,
Crazy.
Right? Like the time that you decided, I'm going to go all in, I'm going to start, I'm going to dedicate this time to it, I'm going to be committed, changes the lives of other people that are around you. Like I'm a walking testimony of that myself. Like, little story time. I remember volunteering for Grow With Video Live. This is when it was virtual. We were doing it at the church. And I remember, you're giving out positions, right? Like Kyle and some of the other members of the team are giving out positions. I know what position sucks on the team, right? Like, even though they're all valuable, they're all needed, they're all necessary, which position that you don't want. Right. And sure enough, I look at the paper and I'm the switcher. Right. And
you gotta be present.
Yeah. You have to be paying attention. You have to be in our case, in a small little closet. Right. Like, and you're there for 8 or 9 hours of this whole, entire thing. And in this case, particularly because it was virtual, there's cues that you have to do to bring in guests that are virtual and things like that. So you're really locked in there for a considerable amount of time. And for me personally, Grow With Video Live was my opportunity to learn about a space that I didn't understand fully, on how you can make a living and be really, really profitable in this space doing this. Like I didn't get that at the time, right? Like, because of the struggle of being like a freelancer or always try to find jobs and new opportunities, I didn't realize that there is some stability in certain areas of our industry.
Yeah.
And so this was my opportunity to learn as much as I can. So not only was I in the closet switching, but I was also taking notes the entire time. And I was like, and really I wanted to train myself to know all these things just to get better with my process on the back end.
Yep.
But also this is the information. Like, they're paying to hear this. Some of the stuff I knew, I was like, wait, that's the most simple level, right? But yeah, it's still necessary. It's still needed. That information is still needed. So I say that to say, like, that's where almost my start was created, and to prepare me for the position I'm in now.
Yeah.
And so it was like, this is an opportunity for me to do it. And then the next year, Kyle hit me and he was like, you want to do Growth Video? I'm like, yeah, but not the switching. Right. And it was just me actually, putting in the time to develop the relationship to be able to say that. And so it grew from there. And it's a testimony to the relationships, but it's also a testimony to understanding that when you really believe in something and know that this is an opportunity for yourself, really go in and study. The same way you talk about studying communication, the same way you talk about studying these different tiers of development, you got to study whatever it is that you're focused on. So my journey then was studying the space itself. Like, all right, how can I communicate this about content creation that will help another business owner or entrepreneur? And now the space I'm in now is like, okay, Justin, you are having the opportunity to speak, right? Like I've been asked to do IG lives, I've been asked to do podcasts, I've taught at workshops. Like you have to get better at communication. And so now I'm on that journey of learning how to communicate better, how to be more effective, and how to use your words to really drive home your points so that no matter what level people are at in a room, they can understand you.
Sure. No,
Right.
and that's a evolving journey. It never ends.
Yeah. Yeah. And so but again, it just goes like, you got to go all in on it. Like I can't, I told myself, Justin, you can't go watch somebody else's podcast and think you're going to learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have to dissect it really. And so, yeah, it's just to prove, like, and to further your point of, you got to work at what you're trying to do, right? And so, I just wanted to drive that home. Tell me a little bit about how important relationships are to your growth in your process.
Man, I would attribute, 99% of, and probably 100, because I think God, answers prayers and he uses people to get you to where he's trying to get you. Mm-hmm. And I would attribute, it's all relationship. I can tell you who it was that opened that door, or who it was that, made that connection, who it was who sowed that seed of encouragement. It always comes back to people. And I hope, the thing is that people would think that sometimes social media and posting content might lead you into isolation. In my world, and the way it's worked with me, is it's only brought more community. It's only made the in-person thing a little bit more better, like, because there's something to talk about, and something I always encourage entrepreneurs to do is to try and create videos up front about the same questions you always answer, so that when you do meet in person, we could start at a further level. Yeah. I think that's what's happening. I think when I'm conversing or meeting people for the first time, I'm starting from a more in-depth level, because they know a little bit about me, and then they can connect why they even found my content and what they're trying to do. And now we're like talking about family, rather than just being, ABC 1, 2, 3. But I think identifying really people that you want to allow to speak in your life. And I think you can have mentors that know you're their mentees, and you can have mentors that don't even know about you because of content. I love consuming so many entrepreneurs and leadership gurus. They don't know who I am, but they're there was some of my mentors. But then I also have a very few real voices in my life that could speak into what it is I'm doing, that I can bounce ideas from. A lot of times they're a little bit older than me. A lot of times they've accomplished a lot more than me. And I think it's a non-negotiable. This is why I value coaching at such a high level, and how important it is to hire a coach to get you to where you need to go. It'll take you so much longer. You freaking crushed this. You never lose this, that illustration you had about varsity and JV.
Oh man.
Or freshman.
We could talk sports. I can get you.
Yeah. No, that's really tight. But like, what a cool picture that you get to be at the practice of varsity. And by the time you're at varsity, you're going to be better than those people you were watching practice.
Yeah. I mean, we were at church Sunday, a couple Sundays ago, and my cousin who just moved to Vegas is here, and he came to City Light, and he's noticing, because he's a think media, he's been following you all forever, right? Because he's a tech geek and likes to do that stuff too. And so he was like, dude, everybody's here, right? Like, he even recognized Mel.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, everybody's here, bro. Like, it's half that team. And he was like, bro, it all makes sense. I'm like, what? He was like, I used to be better at this than you. And I was like, bro, I'm a freshman playing varsity. Like, this is what it is. I had the opportunity to get around people who were already doing things at an elite level. I feel the same way with Ryan every day, right? Like, my schedule has changed. The way I look at, the way I see home life has changed because of how he has structured himself, right? Like, and then people that come into the room, like, for those that like watch his podcast and intake his content, it's different to be in person and have it there. Or like, he gets to sit down with Cardone, and then I get to ask a question as they're leaving, right? Yeah. Like, those opportunities mean a lot, right? Yeah. Like, we got, a videographer 16 years old. I'm like, bro, take advantage of where you're at 16. I was like, because if I was 16, I would have, my trajectory would have been totally different because of the opportunity. You're literally a freshman playing playing varsity. And that's how I viewed it, because I know too, like, you get up, college level, you're playing against men, right? So you're not the biggest, the strongest. You can't jump the highest anymore, right? Like I remember my first day of practice getting hit by a real 7-footer. Not the high school 7-footer that might be 6'9" and they give a few inches to, but the real 7-footer who's been working out every day and he's in his 5th year of college, right? Like it's a big difference, right? And so being around it lets you learn. You got to see the game a little bit different.
Dude, I remember. I don't know why I'll never forget this basketball move that was done on me by an older guy who did college ball, maybe played overseas and stuff, and we were playing pickup at like 24-hour fitness. He like swings the ball. And then he grabs my leg, and I'm defending him, and he holds my leg in place as he dribbles past me and pushes my leg.
Yep.
I was like,
there's nothing you could do.
Dude, there was nothing. I couldn't even like move. And I was like, dang, I'll never forget this move. I'm like, if they're really playing at that level where at the NBA where they're like punching you.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But no, like real talk.
It's a different game.
But it changed the way I even will play pickup. Like that was a move that I now use. I'm like, I could do that, to some other scrawny dudes. But like just being strong is important, but it's only because it happened to me, Yeah. So I think exposing yourself to people at a higher level, even though it can either be intimidating or maybe you don't see the value in it at the time, you'll see the fruit later on. That's the funny thing about fruit. It takes so long for you to see that first fruit sprout out. But yeah, man, like I think it's get in rooms that make you feel uncomfortable. Dude, Ryan makes me feel so uncomfortable, bro.
Really?
No, I mean like I love him, dude, and we have a lot to talk about. But like, dude, this dude's doing stuff. I ain't doing nothing. That's what it makes me feel. But he's let me into the room. I do know there's a principle in Proverbs where it says if you're skilled in your work, you'll sit amongst kings. And when I think about guys in my life, I'm like, dude, Ryan's a king in my life. Sean is like a king in my life. Yeah. Pastor Jamin, like a king in my life, and I'm afforded to be in these rooms. And then when you're around kings, they're around other kings. And then you get those opportunities. Like you mentioned with Grant, just ask a question. I remember when, I was actually traveling with Sean and Benji on the YouTube Secrets book tour into 2018. And I just remember Benji asking me like, hey, Omar, what's your like money goal this year? I was like, dude, I don't know if I would like to make $100,000.
Yeah. Had you thought about it before then?
Not really.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me, he's like, bro, that's so doable. He's like, I'll help you do that. But like, it just came because we grabbed coffee or walked into the car, and no one ever asked me that question. And it got me thinking. Then I started reverse engineering, like how can I actually get to that, that threshold? And it's just I wouldn't have been exposed to the idea. He said, read this book. It was a 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, I think. And it changed my outlook on time and money and how time isn't money. And the person that makes actually 40 grand and has a life, as opposed to the lawyer that makes 6 figures, but pays their loans, works 80-hour weeks, who's more rich? So like, it's relative. So it also got me thinking that like, why do you want to make 100? Is don't slave yourself to do that, but it really comes down to like a lifestyle, and within that lifestyle, can you achieve those financial goals? Yeah.
To that point, I can remember a conversation we had. We were at a group that was at your house. This was like it's like my second group that I've ever been to, and at the time you had mentioned Ryan to me. This was before I was working with him. And you was like, dude, he posted that he's looking for a podcast editor. And I was like, yeah, tell him I'll do it. I was already editing like 2 other podcasts. And you were like, yeah, how much, like, what does that look like for you? And I was like, I don't know, a couple grand, I guess. I don't know. And you was like, no, like, how much do you want to make? Right? And the way you said it, I could tell like you were looking for either you were looking for a certain response or you were just trying to gauge, like, is he really about trying to go after it or not, right? And so, like, I looked at when I heard it, that's how I saw it, and I gave you an answer, and it was probably like, I know back then my answer was always like $1,000 more than what I was making at Loomis, right? And so I told you an answer, and then you looked at me and you go, yeah, I'm sure he can do something like that. He's good, and I was like, okay, and he was like, you were like, but you're limiting what God can do for you, and then you walked off. And I was like, who is this? like, bro, we just got to talking about sneakers. And then he just did this. So I was, and in the moment I was like, bro, he just hit me with a line and then walked off on me, super dramatic, right? And then but when I got in my car, I was like, I am doing that. I am, because I'm quantifying something that can really be in abundance for me in this season specifically. And then I'm like, rather than me trying to fight to get pennies, I have to change what I'm praying about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, forget praying about a number. Now I was like, now I'm just praying that I can bless someone else with the situation as well.
Right.
And it happened so fast, bro. Like, we did the 10-day fast, and on day 10, Ryan was calling me to come in. And so it was like that quick of a mindset change, like you're talking about even with Benji. Like, he hit you with a question like, how much do you want to make? Something that you really don't think about until you hear it, right? And so for anybody listening or anybody seeing this, think about that for a moment. Like, what is your next goal? And truly, is it a goal that you're limiting, the possibility of what God can do in your life? Or is it a goal that you have open that's beyond you and really out of your control? So that moment for me was like a game changer. And now I do it to other people all the time. I even do the walk away too. I go, how much you want? All right. And, so but what it does is, if you take the opportunity to really learn from those around you, you realize like, yeah, I was actually doing that. I was putting a number to something that was just going to get me out of the 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to do anything beyond that, right? It wasn't going to allow me to bless anyone else or help anyone else, but it was just getting me out of the 9 to 5 so I can quit that, right?
Yeah.
And so
I think something that we don't see much talked about, because most people are just in debt and the goal is to just get out of debt. And Dave Ramsey is helping probably 95% of the population. But something that Dave Ramsey never talks about is opportunity costs. Like, what is it? What's the cost of you actually working that job and not pursuing X? And here's the funny thing about cost. It's not always a money thing. Sometimes it's emotional. Yeah. A lot of people think they need to make a financial risk when it comes to starting something new, when the reality is you probably need to make an emotional risk. Risk fear. Like, this is scaring me, but I'm going to do it scared. Yeah. And I'm just even I'm in this season where I'm weighing opportunity costs now. How, like, is what I'm doing costing me something more than what like I said, it's not about money, but in other things, more growth, more leadership, more opportunity, whatever that may be. But that's just something that we, people need to weigh, because we can get locked in. And honestly, we're trained to just be like, laser, check in, check out, do what we got to do, go home. And because you did what you had to do, you go home and you're not doing anything else. And that's just kind of the way, it's designed to make us function. But really, this is why I think thinking is so powerful. Yeah. Take time to think, take time to ponder, and like, just wonder what could be, what if, what would happen, and think. I've just found that people who just take time to think, that's where like things come from. Things come from thinking, and you could step into something that literally started as a thought. Mm-hmm. And there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about taking every thought captive. Mm-hmm. And every time it's preached, it's usually preached about negative thoughts. Yeah. But it says take every thought. Every thought. So even good thoughts, take it captive and make it obedient. And because sometimes our good thoughts aren't great thoughts. Yeah. And God wants to do something in our thought life. And if we don't do anything with our thoughts, then we're actually still missing it, because we're supposed to take our thoughts. Yeah, and so, good. I think that's just, I don't know, bonus content, what have you. Cut it up. Cut it up, clip it. But opportunity cost is a real thing. And, most of us miss out on things not because we can't afford it, but because the opportunity, we're paying for the loss of that opportunity. Yeah, for sure. So Omar, what's your next? What you say your next season? What are the next goals you're setting for yourself? Like you talked about being on stages. Yeah. You will be at WealthCon. This WealthCon. What am I going to talk about? I don't know. Have they told you? No, I haven't heard anything. I'm the producer, but not really. Okay. So yeah, but you'll be on stage. I believe that it's a panel, so cool. It might just be some Q&A stuff. But it's going to be an opportunity for you to get back up there and really give the same knowledge that you give to me on the weekly basis, but also what you give to the world whenever you speak. And so tell me what's next though. What are you seeing for your future? Yeah. What does the next 5 maybe look like for you? Honestly, I think, when you create a solution to a problem, a lot of the times that solution creates a new problem. You know, a good example for that would be when you buy an iPhone, you know, you have to buy a case. Did you have to buy a case if you didn't have an iPhone? No, but because I bought the iPhone, now I have a problem. I need to protect it. I'm going to get a case. I have found that the problem that has been created by making YouTube videos is that the information is scattered. And so I was thinking back, because of all the inbound I get on Instagram and people who ask me questions, I'm realizing that the information needs to be condensed in a way that's just quick, that I can just do this and see the result quickly. And so that started a coaching program that I made to help people really get that quality of video and do it in a very simple and digestible way. If there's anything I learned, is that this video stuff is a whole new language. I'm still trying to figure out ways to even say it even more simple plain terms. Because I know as I'm talking, SD cards, SSDs, 4K resolution, 10-bit RAW, 422.
Starting to lose people.
We're just losing people, but all that stuff was actually true. You know, but it is helping people with that because video creation is a skill, and so the video department is a program that allows people to learn the skill of video and to be, I would say, happy with the content or confident in the content they're creating. And then I also got a studio here in town I think podcasting is the future.
Nice.
And if, you know, entrepreneurs who want to get their podcast done, I have a studio here in Vegas where I'm working out from and allowing people to use. But the problem that was created, and this is something I've learned, is that's how I start everything before I say something I learned. Huh? Yeah, that's 100, dude. But something I have learned is when people pay for a program, they actually aren't paying for information. They're paying for organization, because you can get the information everywhere. Yeah, you probably, but because we care about time and how long things take, we're paying for somebody to organize all I need to know in a short amount of time, get me the result the quickest. And so that's what that program was birthed out from, was just the solution that Think Media solves on YouTube, but the problem it creates when and I just see people hit me up all the time. Hey, I bought everything you said in every video. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. We get that too. We actually get that. I had somebody the other day and was like, yeah, your guy Omar told me to get this. And I was like, did you watch the whole video? I was like, because if you look, he was talking about for a specific setting.
Yeah, right.
Like, he's got his ring light outside. So
yeah, no, 100. And I remember, dude, Sean made a video, and I told him this, but Sean made a video on like cheap smartphone accessories for video, and it's like this handle clamp with a small LED light that goes on top, and then it screws onto the bottom of the thing, and then the mic is like 20 feet long. It's a shotgun mic.
Shotgun, yeah.
And so it's like this rig, and because the thumbnail's cool, and because it says under $20, it got 1 million views. Chris Lee literally bought the setup, took a picture, sent it to me. I was like, no,
man, it's great. Like that just speaks to the influence, right? Like that speaks to, there's so much value that you all do give out every day that, people trust you. And,
100.
The products are being bought. So Sony, get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
Before we finish up, couple quick questions. First question is favorite scripture. What's that?
Dang. The one that always gets highlighted, because there's one that like I hold deep in my heart and one that just like changed my life. The one that changed my life was Ephesians 2:8. Okay. For it is by grace you've been saved through faith, and it's not of your works, for it is a gift from God. That salvation in and of itself is a gift, and the only way we can actually access that gift is by receiving. You don't pay for a gift, you don't receive a gift, you don't earn a gift. If you do those things, it's no longer a gift. So that alone revolutionized everything, and that began a lot. But I would say Colossians 1, I think 12. It's probably one of the longest sentences that Paul would write about walking in a manner worthy of your calling. And he just goes in, and this is like my prayer for you. It's honestly, I feel like it's such like the heart of God behind those verses. And I think it's just one verse, literally, that's like four stanzas, you know? Yeah. But Ephesians 2:8 would be probably the one that sticks out the most.
Awesome. Another question. Favorite new piece of tech?
Dang, favorite new piece of tech. What would that be? I would say right now it's AI, and not just AI, but Autopod.
Okay.
If you record a multi-angle podcast, you don't need to switch the podcast in real time. So you don't need to have a person, but literally you could press a button and then it'll cut the podcast and all the angles based on who's talking, and sometimes it'll cut to the wide. And I've just been that has blown my mind, because I was like, honestly, that is time. That's literally time bought.
Yeah,
you know,
fire art now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, art. No, I'm just kidding. But now what's cool is like art doesn't have to be so locked into a conversation and switch because of that. But I mean, if you got 5 angles, maybe that's a little bit more tough. So
yeah. You took the next question about your favorite new AI tool.
Oh yeah.
So give me your favorite piece of physical tech.
Favorite piece of physical tech.
This new piece.
I would probably say, dude, I love the Sony FX30. I think it's the camera for the next 3 years, because you can buy that camera with a top handle that has what are called XLR inputs, which is just this mic cable gets plugged into that. So you can literally plug in a mic like this directly into the camera and get really good audio. Whereas a lot of people will buy the separate pieces, the recorder, the Rodecaster Pro, and then all those things. And because it's such a reliable workhorse camera, it also simplifies the process while maintaining the quality. Yeah. I'm going to nerd out for a second, but I always educate people. If you want to maintain quality and convenience, the more quality you want to keep with convenience, it comes at a cost. And so it's like when you want to cheap out, you're probably going to have to figure out a workaround, which is making it less convenient for you to use it. What I love about the FX30 is like, dude, if you want to use it as a webcam, it's a USB cable. You don't have to use the HDMI and then turn off HDMI. And the convenience factor is there at $2,200. And so there, I just sold you on a camera if you listen.
There you go. Selling Sony again. Here we go. So another question. 2020, you did a podcast that I was part of as a producer. And at the end of that podcast, they tested your knowledge. The podcast was about like urban and urban wear and sneakers. So they tested your knowledge on sneakers. You were like the first one of like 40 people that had been on that had guessed the right sneaker. What's your favorite sneaker to wear?
Favorite sneaker right now?
Let's do right now, and let's do like overall.
Okay, right now, I mean, one sneaker that I'm on right now is Collegium's. It's made in Italy. A friend in LA, young cat named Nick, started this amazing shoe company. And it's more than a shoe company, but he's creating high quality shoes at a very affordable price. And I've been loving it. I got like 5 pairs now. But the timeless piece forever, I will always have one of these in my rotation, and it's the Jordan 1 High.
Gotcha, Jordan 1 High.
Specifically the Chicago and or the bread.
All right. Appreciate the Chicago and the bread. Last thing, I always like to kind of deep dive on an old post and see what's out there for people.
Snap.
And because we just talked about style, there was a few posts that I was looking for that I couldn't find anymore. So I don't know if you took them down or what,
I don't think that.
Or I just didn't have time to find it. But here's a picture. It's a picture from 2017. It's you and your lovely wife. And I guess we're going to show it because it just speaks to how your style has changed. But tell me about this picture. Give me some context of this picture and how you feel your style has evolved, as you've gone from behind the camera and maybe in front of the camera now.
Oh God. Okay, so I got to break down number 1, shave the head, because I started a new season. I was just like, all right, I'm going to start fresh. Okay. This was 2017. Yeah. So buzz cut, because that also the convenience of it. I was tired of fixing my hair because I was working in church before this.
Okay.
Always having to fix my hair. And then now I was like, dude, I just want to wake up and be ready to go. So that's for that. Wearing all black, part of it is because I was shooting a wedding. So like this was a wedding shot this is crazy. This is greatest 4 years of my life. Now we just celebrated 10. Turn up, dude.
Awesome.
Shout out to marriage. But I still got the arm candy with the jewelry. It just kind of elevated a little bit. But dude, I couldn't pull off that buzz cut. What do you think about Amanda's hair too?
I know you both were kind of
it's crazy
in a different season. No, but it's awesome, man.
But your boy always had style. I'm just saying.
No, Omar, I appreciate you though, man, for coming. Thank you for taking the time and out of your busy schedule to be with me today. I look forward to where things go and everything that you have going on. Obviously, I'll be around. You're my boy. But thanks again for taking this time with me.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, my boy.
All right.
All right, that's been an episode of Wealthy Creator Podcast. I appreciate you guys for listening and watching. You right now have 114,000 followers. So I'm going to ask you the question that everybody probably wants to know. Have you ever bought followers?
Yeah.
Let's dial back.